Monica, would you like to?
Good evening, members. I'm Monica Reedus. As your state president, I want to congratulate you and thank you for your extraordinary work as Democratic Women's Club leaders, activists, and advocates. The training committee has worked tirelessly for months to put together this inaugural webinar event, created in deference to requests from numerous region chairs, local club presidents, leaders, and members surveyed last year. Training is an important part of our 2022 strategic plan as an organization. As such, the training committee has gone above and beyond to develop a series of training tracks that will educate, engage, and empower our members to build toward a better, bluer future. They've developed a workshop and webinar programs that promise to sharpen our skills in areas such as team building, club leadership, grassroots candidate training, social media, fundraising for your club, and many, many more tracks. We will build and grow together as individuals and as an organization. Many of these sessions will be recorded and will be available on our YouTube channel and our new DWCF website coming soon for reference and further training opportunities in our local DWCs. Once again, I want to thank you for joining us this evening. Prepare to be enriched. I'd like to introduce you to the chair of the training committee, Dr. Maureen McKenna. Maureen?
Thank you very much, President Reedus. I am Maureen McKenna. I'll be speaking to you tonight about how to access and utilize the DWCF speakers list. I have served in many positions within the DWCF and the National Federation of Democratic Women over the years. I've served as president of the Democratic Women's Club of Florida from 2013 to 2017. Currently, I'm serving as chair of the DWCF Training and Speakers Bureau Committee, who are an outstanding group of seasoned persisters. Slide 1, thank you very much, Dawn. Imagine you're a new first vice president in charge of scheduling speakers and you don't know how to do it and who to call. The DWCF training team has put together both tools for you, a list of who to call together with guidelines and best practices on how to do it. This presentation will include how to easily access this guidance and information to become an old hand at asking and scheduling speakers for your DWC gatherings, whether they're monthly events, monthly meetings, or fundraisers. The ideas for the current list were compiled from interviews with region chairs and presidents last fall, asking them who they would like to have as our speakers and who they have seen who was impressive. The speakers who agreed to speak to DWC members are just waiting for you to call. Their willingness and eagerness to speak to you, perhaps by Zoom or in person, has already been established. Their schedule will determine their availability on the day requested for an on-site or virtual Zoom presentation. Example speakers on the speakers list are ones that can speak on redistricting, voter rights, DWCF bylaws, reproductive rights, and getting out the Hispanic vote. Names on the speakers list include Nikki Freed, Charlie Crist, Annette Tadeo, Sean Shaw, some DWC officers and committee chairs, and other social justice leaders. The Speakers Bureau offers best practices and guidelines for scheduling speakers. For instance, you should not have a sales representative speak to your DWC members to sell a product at our members' expense. Other guidelines and best practices are shared in this section of the handbook. The next slide, Don. I'm going to briefly review how to access the speakers list in the Speakers Bureau via the current dwcf.org website. This access method will be changing as we upgrade our website this year. First, you go to dwcf.org and you click on About from the drop-down menu. You click Members, click Login Registration. If you've never registered before, it gives you an opportunity to do so. From there, you click Membership Club Information from the top ribbon. And then you click Membership Material from the drop-down menu. Then you click on Handbook. Go to the table of contents to find the speaker's guidelines, best practices, and the speaker's list. Currently, the last time I checked, it was on page 107 to page 111. You'll find the handbook a wealth of information. Dawn, next slide. I just wanted to show an example of the speakers list here. You'll see it has the speaker's name, the topics on which they are able to speak, and also their preferred contact information. So it is real easy to go down the slide and find out, or the handbook, and find out what you want and who you want to contact. The next slide, please. This is just the front page, an example of how the best practices and guidelines look within the handbook. Okay, and then the final slide, please. Finally, the speakers list will continue to be updated as the years go on. If you have any suggestions for speakers, please contact me. Reaching out to speakers on our list who have already said that they would be glad to speak to our members can be extremely rewarding, because you are networking with some heavy hitters in the Florida political world. Have fun meeting them and enjoy the recruitment and retention efforts your club will receive from scheduling and advertising their presentations. We're going to hear now from Jean Speranza, who's going to speak today on how to evaluate today's webinar. Jean has been involved, let me introduce her first. Jean has been involved in information technology for over 30 years. During the last 10 years as an IT regional director in a global law firm. She has been assisting us during this webinar from a technology perspective and is a valued member of the DWCF training team. Jean.
Thank you, Maureen. Appreciate it. I just want to tell you that after the last panelist, we will launch a poll in regards to this webinar. There are only 4 questions that you need to answer, and so it'll be very quick. So please do not log off until you answer the poll questions. Your opinion really matters to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. I appreciate it. Next, we'll be hearing from Sandra McClinton regarding new presidents and new DWC leaders orientation. Sandra McClinton is the DWCF Chair of Region Chairs. DWC has 13 region chairs. Her job is to assist individual region chairs with matters in their region that they may not be able to resolve. In addition, she is to aid in the growth of new clubs and in the retention of struggling clubs. Sandra is a pivotal member of the DWCF Training Committee and DWCF Executive Committee. Sandra?
Greetings. Welcome to the new president orientation. Next, please. Congratulations on your new job of club president. It can be an exciting time for you. It has privileges and a great responsibility. There will be a learning curve since you are new. Don't worry, you are not alone. You can get support from your region chair and board members from your own club, especially the past president. You can gather a lot of information from the website at dwcf.org. It has the bylaws and plenty of forms for events such as the convention. You can even submit your reports there. You're a part of a region council. They have meetings most quarters. You will need to attend these meetings and report on your club. You will get lots of ideas from other club presidents. The club president, club first VP, and club region rep are voting members of the region council, as well as the region officers. I wrote out the club president notebook this morning. If a president didn't get it, please notify me. Everything will be at your fingertips. You can replace the sample club bylaws with your own club bylaws. The notebook has the president's checklist and a region dues table. Next slide, please. Since it's February 20th, you have already crossed some milestones. If you have missed any of them, submit them right away. The president checklist has all the deadlines, which should help you get your reports in on time. Other people need your reports to do theirs. You should have already submitted a roster of the newly elected board to the second VP, Mayor Forte Namuge. A roster of paid members of February 1st shall be sent to the second VP already. February 1st is when you needed to purge members off your roster who haven't renewed their dues. There was a grace period of a month in the new year to renew dues. Of course, after that, they can come on as new members. We accept membership applications all year. That is how we grow. It is important that you know that there's a $500 limit per calendar year on any political activities, such as donating to the DWCF Political Committee, donating to a candidate, donating to the DEC, etc. Even though we encourage you to donate to your limit, please be aware that there are significant penalties which can be levied against your local DWC for going over the amount per calendar year. Next slide, please. February 8th is an important deadline. Many things are due, such as membership lists, state and region dues, updated bylaws, and awards nominations and prospective rules changes. There's no need to remember the details since they're on the 2022 President's Checklist. You should pay your state and region dues, which are based on paid members as of February 28th. For the state, you may mail it to the state treasurer, Pam Mearson, or pay virtually with a club credit or debit card. You need to submit club bylaws to State Bylaws Chair Vivian Light Johnson. Your club is allowed one convention delegate for every 5 full lifetime and student members on your February 28th membership roster. If you have club members on the DWCF State Board, you will be eligible for more. This is all described on the convention registration form. Next slide, please. Here's a list of some of the awards. A good way to acknowledge your members' contributions, such as a member rising star, for instance, is to donate them for a DWCF award. Candidates should be nominated by a club board or club president with a supportive document with a minimum word count of 100 and a maximum word count of 250. Forms should be sent to the awards chair, Bert Perkins, except the Legislative Advocacy Award form goes to the legislative chair. Next slide, please. The state convention and women's rally will be in Orlando at the Rosen Hotel from April the 28th to May the 1st. The DWCF website has all the forms under the members section. There's a meal plan form where you can sign up for lunches and dinners and the gala. Club presidents should encourage members to go as delegates. You need to send a registration form and a club check for delegates and guests by April the 1st. Since the DWCL convention is a fundraiser, clubs can help out by donating a basket or gift certificate worth $50. Your club could consider buying an ad in the program, and participating in the banner parade is always a lot of fun. That concludes my talk. If you have any questions, just email me. Back to you, Maureen.
Thank you so much, Chair of Region Chair Sandra McClinton. Thank you. Now we'll be hearing from DWCF Treasurer Pam Mearson and DWCF President Monica Reedus about the financial basics for DWCs. I'm sorry. Pam has served as DWCF Treasurer since February 2021. Her experience in Democratic organizations includes serving as DWCF Region Chair, DWC of St. Johns County President, and DWC as well as DEC Secretary. Her career experience includes 10 years federal civil service in the Office of Secretary of Defense and serving 20 years as a military officer. And President Monica Reedus. President Reedus.
Thank you, Maureen. Next slide, Dawn. Fantastic, thanks. If you are new to the DWCF and you don't quite understand the financial structure of the organization, rest assured you are not alone. Or maybe you're new to the DWCF and you haven't yet thought about the financial structure of the organization, then this is the night. Because it's important for you to understand this for the success of your club. Ignorance is not a defense if we get sideways of the law. So DWCF and DWCs are not-for-profit organizations. In order to explain what that is, we need to take a little bit of a look at what it is not, okay? So it is not a 501c3 or a 501c4, which are nonpartisan, not-for-profits. DWCF and the DWCs are not tax exempt, but we do not file taxes because we do not employ people and we do not sell products. Our income is strictly dues and donations. DWCFs and the DWCF and DWCs do obtain EINs or IRS ID numbers, primarily for banking purposes. So we're in the process of asking clubs to provide their EIN numbers so we have a good central database and we can assist clubs in leadership transitions going forward. So what does this mean structurally? Normally, a not-for-profit or a nonprofit is organized to serve for the greater good. Our organizations are organized to support collective goals. The long list in the handbook is to encourage women to get involved as candidates, to get out the vote, to educate voters on issues, etc. Our organizations are run by volunteers, so everything we do and all of our resources go toward those goals. We are not employing anybody. Nobody gets a paycheck. The DWCF and DWCs are not political committees. However, we support an affiliated political committee. Next slide.
The DWCF-PC is established to support candidates in grassroots activities statewide. You can find it at dwcfpc.com. Now, if you don't take away anything from today's sessions, and it will be mentioned a few times, please remember this: DWCs are limited to $500 donation to political activities per calendar year. As was mentioned, that includes donations to candidates, DECs, political fundraisers, and the myriad of requests that we all get in our inboxes during a campaign cycle. This is one reason that we suggest that clubs make their annual donation in whatever amount they're able to the DWCF-PC. The PC has visibility and capability to support your local candidates as well as candidates statewide. And we feel like the dollars go farther than what we can do locally. And unlike some so-called rules, the $500 limit is a no-kidding ceiling. There are stories about clubs that inadvertently went $1 or so over and faced significant fines, which do accrue, by the way, to the local club. And just to clarify a point, however, at our PC, you can donate either to political candidates or to grassroots activities. Now, grassroots efforts are focused on educating voters and getting out the vote. These are not constrained by the $500 annual limit. You can support these activities at whatever level you are able. Next slide.
Some new presidents have asked whether local clubs are insured, and more importantly, they should be. In these crazy times in which we are living, these are very, very good questions. It is something the state board has been looking at, and we want to give you a partial answer today. As the slide indicates, the DWCF currently has an officers and directors policy that covers individuals acting on behalf of the DWCF. We're looking into obtaining a general liability insurance policy that would extend to all the clubs and cover injuries and property damage arising from its events. I know some of our groups have already had encounters with right-wing nuts, and we've seen the Pulse nightclub and Parkland High School, Jewish synagogue. No group can be assured that it won't be a target. We expect to have some options for the membership to consider at the convention, so we want to encourage everyone to come and make sure your voice is heard. This will be at the business meeting at the convention. One thing groups can do locally, and this again is a process of weighing risk and benefit, but some groups are obtaining what is sometimes called employee dishonesty bonds. This protects groups from dishonest acts of those in the organizations that handle money and property. This kind of coverage costs generally $100 per year. Next slide.
And so to conclude, just a reminder that it's time to pay annual club dues, and they must be submitted before delegates can be credentialed for the conventions. If you have any questions or need any assistance in this regard, please reach out to me. I'd be happy to help. And because it's a pretty short list right now, I'll put the names of the clubs that have already paid into the chat. And many thanks to all of those type A Democratic women who were the early birds this year. And I know that many are on the way as well, and I appreciate that. So in conclusion, the DWCF and DWC financial basics are maybe a little different from some organizations that you've been associated with, but they're not onerous. It's like most things, easier to get it right the first time than it is to fix it if it gets screwed up. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam and President Reedus. Now, Region Chairs Jane Schledwig and Gwen Safransky's presentation will focus on how to complete a president's report. Jane is a state committee woman serving Collier County, where Naples is. She has served as second VP for the DWC of Marco Island. Currently, she is serving as region chair for Region 12 and a legislative liaison for the DWC of Marco Island. Jane is a diligent and hardworking member of the DWCF Training Committee. Gwen Safransky. In 2016, Gwen Safransky started the DWC of Southeast Hillsborough with the help of then DWCF second Vice President Sandra McClinton and 8 founding members. After serving as president for 4 years, Gwen accepted the role of Region 8 chair, adding a new Central Pasco club to the region's other 4 clubs in Upper Pinellas, Hernando, Hillsborough, and Southeast Hillsborough counties. Gwen is a hardworking member of the DWCF Training Committee. Gwen and Jane?
Thank you, Maureen. This presentation will explain why doing your president's quarterly report is so important, how to fill out the report online, and how to correctly submit your report and roster.
Next slide, please. Quarterly reports not only help you assess the progress of your own club, but also help the DWCF Incorporated track the progress of the many clubs in its 13 regions across the state. Events and ideas can then be shared with clubs statewide. Next slide. Be sure to meet report deadlines by consulting the president's to-do list, emailed to you periodically by the DWCF. Your region chair will utilize the information from your report to present the progress of clubs in her region at the quarterly board meetings.
Next slide. If you've never visited the dwcf.org website, you will need to register. To do this, log on to dwcf.org and use the drop-down menu under About DWCF to click on Register First Time. Next slide. Enter your personal information, choose a username and password, and hit Submit. You will then get a welcome notification from the Democratic Women's Club of Florida Incorporated. Next. To access your club report, log back on to dwcf.org and use the drop-down menu to open up the club report form. Next. Right now, there is a glitch in this JOT form. So after you select your region number, you can skip the fields asking for address and email information and continue on until you come to the area marked monthly or quarterly.
Next slide. Select quarterly, and then you will type the month for this report. Next, fill in your club's name and your own contact information. Caution, do not hit enter or return between your answers, as this will submit your report unfinished. There is a submit button to click when you have completed all fields and attached your membership roster. Next slide. You will be asked to report your membership numbers from the previous quarter and for the current quarter. Then you will identify your numbers according to the 5 types of membership as detailed in your club and DWCF bylaws. Let's review them here. A full active member is a registered Democrat who is current with her dues and upholds the club and state bylaws. An associate is one who has designated another DWC as her parent club. She cannot vote, hold office, or be counted in computing convention delegates in your club. A lifetime member has shown statewide leadership and dedication to the principles of the DWCF. They can vote and be counted for delegate computation to the state convention. Honorary is bestowed on a member in good standing for distinguished service to the community, the state, or nation. A student member must be a registered voter, 18 years old, attend a high school, college, or university, and may be counted for computation of delegates to state convention. Next slide. Next, list a website or Facebook address if your club has one. Note whether your club participated in a region meeting if one was scheduled. Finally, let your region or state officers know if your club needs help with any financial or membership issues.
Next slide. Throughout the quarter, make sure you share articles and photos of club meetings and activities with the Democratic Women's Club of Florida through its newsletter, dwcfnewsletters@gmail.com. Next. Comment on your club's membership growth or loss. This is also where you will share your club's activities and ideas. Be specific, but be brief. Upload your photos and articles here so that they may be archived with the Democratic Women's Club of Florida.
Next slide, please. Along with your report, you will submit your club membership roster in its Excel spreadsheet format. Do not send as a PDF or any other form. It is vital that your second vice president maintains an accurate, up-to-date roster. Make sure that the names of new members acquired since the last quarter are highlighted in yellow. Next slide. Let's look at the proper Excel format. On the left, identify your region's number. Next, identify the name of your club. In the next column, number your members. Then complete your members' names and contact information. Under membership type, list full members with an F, associate members with an A, honorary with H, lifetime with L, and student with an S. The titles of your club's officers should appear under member title. Next slide, please. Remember to save your roster to your computer. When you are ready, click Browse Files and select the roster to be attached to your report. Don't forget to hit Submit.
Next slide. After you click on Submit, your report will automatically go to the following: your region chair, the DWCF president, second vice president, chair of chairs, and the archivist. Next. So there you have it. Your president's quarterly report is finished. Remember these key points when completing your report online and refer to your region chair with any questions that you may have. Next. And if you have any questions regarding this PowerPoint, feel free to contact us, Jane Schletwig or Gwen Safransky. Thank you, and back to you, Maureen.
Thank you very much, Jane and Gwen. Okay, the first slide, Dawn. Due to the tone that Trump has set in our country, there have been an increase in incidences and worries about confrontations between right-wingers and our members at Florida DWC gatherings, such as meetings or events. We encourage local DWC boards to develop a safety plan of how best to proceed if your gathering comes under threat of attack by someone at a DWC gathering. It is important this plan is discussed and shared amongst your members, as well as reviewed for updating on a regular basis. Next slide, please. Your plan could include such things as call 911. Even if you think the police will not arrive, your call for help will need to be documented by the police dispatcher for a couple reasons. One is for insurance purposes in case there is property damage, and you will need that for insurance. And also in order for law enforcement locally to track trends in the community Attendees should not engage with the perpetrator. Do not respond to accusations. Encourage other members to not engage. Ask them to record on their phone cell, or you can appoint them to call law enforcement. Counsel your members who would respond or engage with the perpetrators that they could be endangering their sister DWC members by escalating the situation. Attendees should activate their cell video, as I had mentioned, to record the incident and the perpetrators. The more cell phones going, the better. If you are meeting at a DEC office, lock the doors to prevent intrusion during the gathering. Recently, we had someone that came to a DWC meeting and made threats, but they were unable to get into the door because the DEC headquarters had a lock on the door that automatically locked after 10 minutes. You can have your sergeant at arms staff the door as well. If a public venue, say if you're in a restaurant, be sure you have someone identified in your group that is responsible for notifying the staff and the manager of the concerns that you're experiencing. Invite your law enforcement to speak to your club to establish rapport. This is perhaps one of the best things that you can do, because they will understand your needs and you will understand what the responses should be. If an incident occurs in your DWC and after things have calmed down, but within 24 hours, alert President Reedus of the incident. She should be your first state DWCF leader you contact after the incident. The next slide. Okay. Sorry, some people are emailing me at this time and I'm not able to scroll down. The next slide, educate your DWC members to not engage with the perpetrators. Remember what Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. Okay. The next slide, please. Finally, one of the ways to keep our members safe as a leader is for you not to publicly share the DWC members' contact information, such as email addresses. When you, as a DWC leader, are sending out emails to a group of your members, or if you are responsible for an email blast to all members, blind copy the members. Do not put the members' addresses in the to line. Put their addresses in the BCC or blind copy line. No one will be able to see to whom you've sent the email. However, if you look in your sent box, you will be able to see who all has sent the email to, who you have sent the email to. As a DWC leader, make every effort to keep your members' contact information safe. Blind copying when emailing will go a long way to make sure you do that. Now, Mary Daly will be talking to us about some clever ideas and best practices for fundraising for your DWC. Mary is the president of the DWC of Sarasota. She has been active in the Democratic Party for many years. Her interest in political activism began in grade school when she hung door signs for John F. Kennedy. She was active in Chicago politics. She included President Obama's book, Dreams from My Father, on her reading list when she taught at Northwestern. Mary?
Hi, everyone. I just forgot to unmute. I'm happy to be here tonight, and I want you all to think about the last time you donated. And I'm guessing it was to a candidate. When you donate, it's probably because you want to make a difference or help somebody. When people give money, it's because they want to help somebody or further their ideas or their causes. Could you put up my slide, please? Fundraising can seem like a maze. There are so many questions, so many, what should I do? But the goal is always to help further our party and our candidates. So when you have an event, have a goal clearly in mind. It really helps if you can set up in your mind with your club how much you want to raise and then go higher. Figure out how many people you want to reach. And remember, it costs money to make money. So factor in the cost of the event or the product before you set the price. We have a lot of things to cover: who, what, when, where, how. Who's going to be your chair? Who's going to do the major responsibility of getting everything organized? Find somebody within your club that you'd like to see take charge, somebody that you think might be a good asset to your board, perhaps. It's often someone you don't know who doesn't come forward, but you can ask them to do part of the event or part of the fundraising, and you'll find winners there. The other who is, who are you targeting? Who's your audience? Who are your donors? Think about if you're going within your members or people in the community. And always remember, if you're going to go after a high roller or a bigger donor, make sure your ask is high enough. Never under ask. So then the next question is what? What are you offering? Are you offering membership? Are you offering an event or a product or goods or services? When is a very important topic right now, because we want to do our fundraising before the candidates start in earnest in August, September. After the primaries, all the fundraising is going to be directed toward candidates and getting them elected. So we don't want to have any events in the late fall or the early fall. And you ask where or how. It can be anywhere. You can have an event at a member's home. You can have something as simple as a coffee meeting. You might want to go with a lunch or a brunch. You might have that in a restaurant or cafe. If you do that, a fixed menu is always a good option, with a vegetarian opportunity as well. But be sure to remember to cover your gratuity and tax, and then add just a little bit on for the club. One of the things that we've done in other clubs I've been a member of is a movie screening. Our club had a very good movie that we just showed at a restaurant. It was a movie about fundraising and organizing. Another opportunity is to buy a packet of tickets at a local theater. Oftentimes people are interested in going with a group. You can add just a little bit extra for the club. Action events are a little harder to organize. You might have a walk or a bowling party or something like that, or a gala dinner. Next slide, please. This is an example of a place that I did some fundraising. It's a polo event. And we just booked a group of tickets, had a tent, and invited people to come. And there we talked about fundraising and what our goals were. Oh yeah, and we did add just a little bit extra for the club and made money on it. Auctions can be done online like the DCF did not so long ago, and they can reach a very large audience. Auctions can also be done at an event. There they can be online or silent. I have had live auctions, but the key there is to have a really experienced auctioneer. And hopefully she's also able to do a paddle race where she asks for donations and people raise their hands and donate good sums of money and are recognized. Drawings are fun and simple. You can have one of those drawings where you have a couple of baskets and people put their name or their coupon number in. 50-50 drawings are pretty easy and quick to do. Branded items. We are not authorized as a club to sell, but we can offer items for donations, such as a mug with our name on it if you donate an extra amount. We can also have logo t-shirts and stuff. I'm not real keen on that one because you have to get sizes and figure out how many extra large and how many small and who wants yellow and who wants blue. When I've done branded items, I've asked people to pay ahead and let me know what size they want. Next slide, please. I don't know how I got muted. I'm sorry. Whatever you do, work for some publicity for your club. Keep a detailed donor list so you can ask them again. And most importantly, so you can write them a thank you note. Many bigger donors will appreciate appropriate recognition, but never do it without their permission. And I thank you very much for the opportunity to share these ideas with you. Please contact me if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mary. Now we'll be hearing about DWC membership recruitment from Pam Mirelson and Patty O'Hara. You have already heard about Pam's background. Pat O'Hara is a retired naval officer and has resided in Indian River County, Florida for over 25 years. She joined the Democratic Women's Club of Indian River County in 2013. Pat served as DWC of Indian River's recording secretary from 2015 to 2019, as president from 2020 to 2021, and now second vice president, membership chair from 2020 to present at her local DWC. Pam and Patty.
Thank you. Recruiting new members is the way that you grow your Democratic Women's Club, and what Pam and I will be discussing. Next slide. As you can see from the slide, only 26% of voters in Indian River County are Democrats, slightly outnumbering the NPAs, who lean towards conservative. In this political environment, the Democratic Women's Club is a haven for like-minded people to gather, socialize, and energize. In-person luncheons are probably our most effective recruiting tool. Members are encouraged to bring guests who each receive a personalized pre-printed name tag at check-in and are offered a Democratic Women's Club fact sheet and application. Guests are formally introduced at the beginning of the program and made to feel welcome. They get to experience our organization, enjoy a program, and get to know our members. Our goal is to let our guests know that they are welcome and would be a valued member of the DWC. Participation in parades and manning event booths are also effective ways to reach out to new members and be seen in the community. Despite the sometimes negative vibes we receive, we know that it's important to show up and be seen. We also coordinate with other Democratic organizations in our county, namely the Democratic Executive Committee and the Democratic Club. By working together, we attract new members to the DWC who are interested in our unique programs, such as our book group, scholarship program, and environmental committee, to name a few. In sum, our most effective recruiting tools are our current members and our programs, which together attract new members. I will now turn the presentation over to Pam.
Next slide, please. So I'm pleased to have the opportunity today to share some of the recruitment initiatives we found successful in St. Johns County and Region 5. Like Patty's slide illustrated, St. John's has almost an identical demographic. Dems are outnumbered 2-to-1 by Republicans. Our group started several years ago, mailing a brochure and a note to newly registered Democratic women, just to let them know that we were there. And we did it on a quarterly basis, made packets of 30 to hand out at member meetings. And members loved taking home those packets to write a note to a potential new member and drop it in the mail. Sometimes we added up to 10 to 20 new members a quarter. We also worked hard to keep a good relationship with other like-minded organizations. We always showed up with our email sign-up sheet and an attention grabber to get people to talk to us. The New York Times has a recipe for election cake, which in other times candidates' wives took to every public gathering. I'll put my email in the chat, and if you're interested, I'll share the recipe. Sometimes we had inexpensive pens to give away, and a popular item was an ERA button that we hot glued to a homemade lanyard. It pays to maintain a non-member mailing list. Special programs have been a big draw for us and created a lot of buzz for the club. People asked incredulously, how did you get Val Demings or Nikki Fried for your group? And our reply was, we asked them. Don't underestimate who you can reach out to as a special guest. Plan ahead and take advantage of social media. Even our regular meetings, we send emails, newsletters, make phone calls, and people tell us, I didn't see it on Facebook. So you have to be where the eyeballs are. Next slide. One of our members invited some friends to a meeting, and they told us straight up, we aren't meeting people, but we want to work. They're now some of our stalwart phone bankers and canvassers. We've long been involved in adopting orphan precincts, many of them in predominantly minority areas. And our events, next slide, please. Oh, and our events don't have to be all work. One event that surprised us was the Holiday Bazaar, where we invited women artists and artisans to come and sell their wares so members could buy special holiday gifts. And another fun thing was a re-gifting event. People brought the holiday gifts that weren't really them, and they found a new home. And it was so much fun. And also a highlight of legendary proportions is the Duval Club's Mardi Gras and Gumbo Cook-Off. Often we find that when people get to know us through the fun things, they'll come back when it's time to work. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam and Patty. We will hear about DWCF member retention from Margaret Franklin. She has having difficulty seeing the slides, but I'm going to go ahead and introduce her. And if we have to come back around, we will. Margaret is current DWCF Region 3 Chair, President of the DWCF Capital City, Tallahassee, and she is our DWCF Veterans Chair. Margaret's career experience includes serving as Executive Director of Franklin Academy Incorporated, a nonprofit private school for students with learning disabilities. Margaret is dedicated to fighting for what is right in the community. Margaret?
Hello, everybody. Nice to be here today. My presentation is on membership retention. What is membership retention? Next slide, please. Membership retention is also a personal touch. We want to measure how many members that we can keep to be active. Membership retention is usually about 75%. It helps to foster connections for more opportunities for Democrats. You also should bring in your own little personal touch. There's some people that are artists, they sing, they speak, they dance very well. Use a little bit of your personal touch so that you can kind of relate and connect with people. Next slide, please. Resources and benefits for retention. We can do virtual meetings, spaces, have contests, incentives to bring members, do rewards, membership chair meetings, membership cards you can always use, and also new member welcome events that work very well. Next slide, please. Membership programs for young Democrats. For ages 16 and over, we want to start training our young people to take our place. There should be student opportunities to hold offices. We should train people to do grassroots and campus training, voter registration training, train them to do the Robert's Rules of Order. And we want to encourage at 11th graders for girls state and boys state, because it teaches people to learn what to do in the political system. We want to get our youth prepared, but when we're no longer around. Next slide, please. Recognizing member and club achievements so that they feel valued. We want to yearly increase membership goals by fostering relationships with other clubs. Very important. We want to build awareness of community needs. We want to focus on member participation and for outreach activities. And we want to give out awards every now and then to recognize people that are doing very well, who meet all the different activity goals. Next slide, please. Keying in on voters. We want to use the band system to identify the super voters. Word of mouth is very good. Signs, radio, palm cards. And we do something at the Capital City Democratic Women Club, say bring one, teach one, bring one, bring one. If each individual come in with a friend, we can help increase our attendance of getting people to join our club. Next slide, please. Grassroots communication and marketing activities. Relationship building starts with grassroots. Going into the local churches, telling them what we're doing with our clubs. Going door to door is very most important because you meet a lot of people, have a lot of fundraising events. Also, phone banking works very well. And doing several Zooms since we've had the COVID. Next slide, please. Retaining members by ways to serve others. We want to identify community needs through interviews. Once we identify the needs and start doing some of the things that that community says they need, they become interested in what you're doing. We want to address community problems while increasing club exposure. Accountability to our community by fostering relationships between members and the elected officials, because they do work for us. We want to get our members to become an active part of the political system. And since we're Capital City Democratic Women Club, we're at the Capitol. We want to spend more time at the Capitol talking to more of our elected officials. I want to thank you for listening.
Thank you, Margaret. We are now going to hear from Jessica Ransom about how to increase your DWC's membership engagement. Jessica is currently serving as president of the Duval County DWC, known as DWIN. She is a working member on various DWIN standing committees. She works with her local DEC as a Democratic organization chair and current District 1 precinct captain in Duval County. Jessica also is currently serving as a DWCF legislative subject area leader responsible for tracking bills related to voting and elections and redistricting, and is newly appointed member of the DWC Handbook and Rules Committee. This very engaged woman is going to talk to us about DWCF membership engagement. Over to you, Jessica. Please be sure to unmute.
Good evening, everyone. I bring you greetings from the Democratic Women's Information Network in Jacksonville, Duval County. I'm so excited to talk briefly about membership engagement tonight. So what is engagement? I really like the word involvement because I believe it is the key to a successful club. We ask people to join our clubs because we want them to become involved in politics and to help elect more Democrats. But once we get them to join, how do we get them engaged and actively participating? Next, okay, that's it. So first, I believe we must communicate clear goals and objectives. Why is it important? And what does success look like? People will want to be involved when they can see the benefit to their families, communities, and neighborhoods. Your leadership team should set and communicate your goals and priorities. Next, we must tap into our members' talents and interests. People love to use their skills for a good cause. Be careful not to dump your members into slots just to fill a space. Then you risk losing them because they're not a good fit for that place. Find where they fit. Take time to build relationships with your members. It's important to know your folks, especially your new members. What do they need to be successful in their new roles? Building relationship is a key role for your membership hospitality team. They should be the first to contact your new members to get them the relationship building process started and to get them onboarded. Then honor your workers. Acknowledge their work and time sacrifice. Many are working full-time jobs and raising families. So make sure you have an agenda for all your meetings with all the necessary documentation. Send it out several days in advance, and everyone will be able to review the information, be prepared, and the meeting will move along expeditiously and you will meet your objectives. Lastly, celebrate successes. We have the most dedicated, hardworking volunteers in our clubs. People need to know that their work is being recognized and that they are having an impact. Show your appreciation openly, openly. Democrats seem to be on the losing end of the stick, and it's easy to get discouraged. But we have some good stories to tell. So make sure that you're using your communication teams and your social media teams to tell our story. Focus on the positive. Next slide. So I'd like to spend just a brief minute talking about some things we do at DWIN related to engagement. We have a bi-weekly Wednesday Empower and Engage session. We ask members to dial in to the session. The hours are flexible. Sometimes we have them in the morning, sometimes we have them in the evening. We have various activities, texting, postcarding, making calls. We cover various topics based on member interests, current events, redistricting, voter registration, legislative activities, and personal training and development. We host candidate forums, and we work closely with our DEC leadership with whatever they need us to do. We believe many hands make light work, so we collaborate with other clubs and local organizations whenever we can. Next slide. So finally, let me share one of our current E2 activities. In an effort to educate members and citizens on the importance of redistricting, our program committee collaborated with various organizations, local clubs, and media to create a 3-part training series called Boundaries Matter: How Redistricting Impacts Our Votes. From this, we produced an educational resource guidebook for our citizens to use in the 4 City of Jacksonville public hearings on redistricting. This program was a great success with over 200 citizens attending the meetings. They were able to speak and express concerns and provide excellent recommendations on how to improve redistricting and the maps. We also made this resource available to other clubs, organizations around the states. Next slide. So in summary, I believe communication is one of the most important pillars for improving engagements, membership engagement in your clubs. Be sure to communicate your club goals and objectives, identify your members' talents and interests, build relationships, especially with your new members. Respect the time sacrifice, and last but not least, celebrate your successes. Last slide. So I like to leave with a quote from one of my favorite quotes from Helen Keller. Alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. Let us continue to engage, expand, and strengthen our clubs as we work tirelessly to turn Florida blue in 2022. Thank you. Back to you, Maureen.
Thank you so much, Jessica. As we go into our final presentation, I just want to remind, please stay on the webinar to complete a short polling, giving us feedback on tonight's webinar. After the polling, President Reedus will be saying some important remarks. And remember, we will be delving into some of tonight's topics in a more comprehensive and interactive way at the convention workshops in Orlando at the end of April. We hope to see you there. Our last presentation tonight will be focusing on how to help local DWCs develop members to become leaders and serve on your local board. Dawn Antonis and Kim Duggar will present on this topic. Dawn Antonis is a proud and active member of the Democratic Women's Club of Florida and committee member of the DWCF Training Committee. Currently, she is the president of the DWC of West Orange County after having served as first vice president under 2 DWC presidents. She lives in Winter Garden and in her spare time loves reading and playing music. She looks forward to working to flip Florida blue in 2022. As a member of the training committee, Dawn has done some magnificent work, helping us with the webinar slides and coordinating the flow of the webinar as well. Kim Duggar. Kim has been a professional educator for 35 years. She has served as a teacher, a principal, a turnaround specialist for underperforming schools, a lifelong advocate for underprivileged citizens, and president of Putnam County Democratic Women's Club. Her quote, "Her lifelong passion is helping others develop their individual talents, leading to their participation in powerful teamwork. She believes that diversity is our strength and is the key to positive changes in the world." Dawn and Kim.
Thank you, Maureen. Hi, everybody. This is Dawn Antonis. I'm very honored to be here this evening. We are here, Kim and I, to talk about how to strengthen your team. And one of those things includes creating a strong bench. So that's what we're going to do. The objective is to share best practices to develop your DWCF clubs, as well as a strong bench. So first of all, we're going to talk a little bit about succession planning. Succession planning is a way to ensure that your club is strong now, but will also remain strong in the future. Succession planning is simply a process and strategy for replacement planning or passing on leadership roles within your club. So you currently have leadership roles that are filled by people within your club right now. What happens if somebody wants to move on to another role within our organization? What happens if somebody moves? We need to be prepared with people to backfill into those roles. And that's what we talk about that's what we mean when we talk about succession planning. How do we prepare people? How do we select people? How do we ensure that we have people ready to go to learn about those opportunities when they do become available? So in order to create a succession plan, the first step actually is to be proactive with a plan. And in order to have a plan, you have to think about the following items. You first of all want to pinpoint members. So who do you have that are members of your club that have either demonstrated an ability or have perhaps approached you or talked to you about learning more about leadership roles? Anybody who demonstrates any of those signs would be a good person to pinpoint. Talk to that person, let them know and explain the different stages of succession planning, and then also set up professional development efforts. So if you have somebody that wants to learn more to help with our fundraising, but they don't know anything about fundraising, that's just an example of somehow you could get a speaker to come in about it or find a presentation that we've done already and deliver to that individual as well. So there's options that you have out there to set the professional development options up for people who you want to help step into these roles. It's always good to do a trial run of your succession plan. And also, it's very important, number 6, to integrate your succession plan into your recruiting strategy. So you both of these kind of play hand in hand together, as you know what types of candidates or people that you might be looking to backfill some of these positions, and always have enough people to help step into these roles as they might be needed. And number 7, think about your own successor And that ties into number 8, start early. Do not wait until the end of your term to start to think at that point, oh, gee, who might be willing and able to step into this role? The sooner you start thinking about it, the more opportunity you have to do the rest of the items on this list. For example, if somebody's interested in the role, but they're lacking in certain skills, you can help align some professional development for that person to have them ready. And now I'm going to hand it over to Kim to talk about the power of mentorship. Kim?
Oh, thank you, Dawn. I've just been sitting here listening and reading the chats from people around the state. It is so exciting. I just would love to meet you, all of you gals, and listening to our other presenters tonight, and Jessica Ransom. I don't know who put me after her, but I don't like that because she is so good. I'm just kidding. My point is that there are so many fantastic people in this organization, and you learn from them. When I started in Putnam County, I'll get started on my slides in 1 second. I got started in Putnam County 2 years ago. Pam Merrilson came down with her posse from St. Johns County, and they gave us just the most unbelievable support. And it really helped me as a president. And you will get so much support and so many ideas. You just have to steal ideas from people, and just wonderful ideas. So I'm just so excited. Mentorship goes hand in hand with succession planning. It's a strategy to ensure the success of your club and the individual members. Mentorship is a strategy for empowering people. What is mentorship? Next slide, please. Thank you. It is an ongoing structured program, usually one-on-one, that supports new members in learning and adapting the new mentee successfully to your organization, resulting in maximum results. The key term here is ongoing. You always want to give someone help. I don't know about you, but the best jobs I ever had were the ones where I felt very supported, and before I knew it, I felt like part of the family. Okay, so that's the power of mentorship. Another key term here is maximum results. Think about the people in your organization. You chose them, or you're thinking about them as your successive leaders because they have talents and knowledge and skills. But you can't just leave it to that. You have to make sure that you give them the support they need and make sure they're not alone. I remember as a teacher being given a key to the classroom, and that was it. And I went to my classroom and I didn't know anybody or anything. You know, so mentorship is very, very important. Okay, next slide, please, Dawn. Why have a mentorship program? It ensures communication, and you just can't let this be taken for granted. It's a structured system for communication. You know you're going to be talking to them every week, and it's organized and scheduled. It diminishes isolation and increases motivation to engage fully. It builds trust and sustains confidence in your mentee. Trust is a main thing. You got to have trust that this is an organization that I believe in. The people are trustworthy, and it just builds that culture and builds that relationship. It benefits both people, the mentor, the new leader, and the person that's helping them. It's a proven strategy, actually, for connecting people, increasing knowledge, and increasing retention of employees. Every successful organization has mentorship programs, whether it's called that or assistance or whatever it's called, they have that. It promotes team building and culture of the organization. Really, it's all about people, and it's about building relationships and helping your people grow and develop. Next. Implementing the program. Identify the potential mentees in your club. Who are the kind of people that would like to help somebody? The goals, you need to make sure that they understand the goals of your club. Basically, it's just teaching them and giving them the knowledge so they can go around the community and say, yes, this is what we do. Identify the learning style of your mentee. Maybe you would like to meet at a restaurant. Maybe they want to meet at a library. It's just kind of, you know, when you meet somebody, it's kind of like getting to know what they like. Maybe they're very visual. They need a list of things to do. So it's not sufficient just to tell them. Select the right mentor. Decide on a time to meet weekly. And make sure it's just like, I don't know if any of y'all have ever been a mentor to a student in school. They depend on that. They want you to meet them. I mean, they look forward to it. So make sure you're reliable. And if you say you're going to meet on Wednesday at 3 o'clock, you meet them on Wednesday at 3 o'clock. And develop your meeting schedule and assign any tasks as needed. People don't mind doing things. It gives them a sense of purpose. And finally, remember, mentorship is ongoing. It's a way to ensure and provide structural, systematic support to ensure your club's success. And I want to leave you with a quote by Isaac Newton. It's one of my favorite quotes. It says, "I was a success because I stood on the shoulder of giants." And I really believe that none of us can do it by ourselves. And you can see it by all of the examples and people here tonight. You're not alone. You heard a lot of things tonight that you need to do, but a lot of it, the most of it, is fun. So thank you for letting me be a part of this webinar, and good night.
Thank you, Don and Kim. Now I'm going to turn it over to Jean Speranza so you can give us feedback on tonight's webinar, followed by President Riedis's closing remarks. Thank you for participating in tonight's first DWCF webinar hosted by the DWCF Training Committee. Over to you, Jean.
Thank you. Right now, I'm going to launch the poll. I'll give you about 2 minutes to actually go through. Once you hit all or answer all 4 questions, then please just hit submit. But if you could start answering these, I would appreciate it. Does there? We only have a few people actually going through. So if you could please, thank you.
Panelists, please mute.
Okay, we have about 58%. I'll give another minute or so. Is that okay, Maureen?
I would say about another 30 seconds will be fine.
Okay. We're about 75%. So I'll end it. So if you could see, we have mostly people can apply for what they could learn today. They all felt that the content was effective, and seems everybody liked every single. Perfect. I'm going to stop sharing this and I'll just save it for you, Maureen, okay?
Thank you. Okay, thank you so much, Jean, for doing that. Over to you, Monica, Madam President.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us this evening. And I want to give a huge thank you and a job well done to the training committee. This has been a phenomenal evening. Please join us at our annual convention, which is April 28th through May 1st at the Rosen Center in Orlando for deep dives in some of this content and more of these training opportunities. Thank you, Chair McKenna, for your outstanding team and for a fantastic session this evening. This was really amazing. Reading the chats, folks really felt engaged. They felt like they were being fed information they were looking for, which is exactly everything that we aim for. I can't be more excited because this is what it's about. It's about making folks feel better for having entered this organization. We don't want you to enter a position and not feel enveloped and appreciated and supported. And that's what we are aiming to do right now. I'm looking forward to all of the workshops at the convention. I believe you have 8 or 9 at the convention, and I know that's going to be a really good space for our members to be. And finally, this webinar is going to be recorded, or it has been recorded, and it's going to be made available to you on our YouTube channel this week. So we will put together information and get it out to all the club presidents to disseminate and the region chairs. So how you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, because there's information that's out there already. We've kind of been stocking it. And we want to make this a space that you will use going forward. As we have all this information, all this training information, all these speakers at various events, empowering sessions and segments that we have, we want to make sure that you're able to access these things for your own personal enjoyment or improvement, and also for our club presidents to use for training material going forward. So thank you for spending time with us this evening. We appreciate your time, your talent, your effort, your leadership in this Democratic women's space and in the Democratic Women's Club of Florida. There's an African proverb that says, it takes a village, and it takes a village to raise a child. And the DWCF is our child. And we have one freaking phenomenal village. And I'm so proud and so happy and so blessed and so amazed to be in this space and to lead and direct you and what we have going forward. I'm honored. And I want to thank you. Thank you, Chair McKenna. Thank you, all of this training committee. You knocked it out of the park. I'm so pleased. I'm so proud. You are amazing. Have a good night, everyone. Please make sure that you access this information and get it out, because I'm honestly feeling like this is something that will make us be leagues ahead, light years ahead of other spaces going forward. So I just want to thank you. Have a good night, everybody. Bye-bye.
How you doing?